bit of some patience before until the previous session was finalized. So I guess we can now start. Oh yeah, no, I see people joining again. Okay, well, I guess we can start. And apologies for those who would join us with some delay. I know that we have a lot of remarks regarding the overlap between sessions. This is how the platform, let's say, operates, and so we try to cope with this, trying to fit in the allocated timing and slots. But when there is an overlap, yeah, obviously it can be problematic. I hope on behalf of the entire Data Advance team, of course, I would like to thank you again for your presence. I hope you had some interesting, you watched some interesting sessions, and were able to ask your questions. So obviously, this very last part of the conference is dedicated to kind of roundtable and open question and answer session. So feel free, of course, to post your question in the Q&A section of the studio. So at the top right corner, you have this Q&A part where you can publish your questions. By the way, all your questions are anonymized, so feel free to post whatever question you have, even if you are not, let's say, comfortable with written English. Don't worry. We'll rephrase if necessary, if in case of any language issue. I would like to also, beyond thanking you for your participation, I would like also to our presenter. So just reminder, today we had some great keynote speeches, and coming from very different companies and organizations. So SIM Data first, the video, again, Don was really wanted to attend, but because of 9 hours time zone delay, obviously it was not possible. So hence the video. Then Joseph Morier from Isae Super-Héros, very nice presentation, very dense presentation about optimization and state of the art, let's say, in MDO and AI. I hope you also appreciated the arena presentation from our keynote speaker, Sylvain, from Technip FMC, or SEAL engineer. That presentation has been very successful. A lot of questions raised during the session, and so lots of feedbacks coming from the audience. And finally, the SDM overview and SDM, let's say, snapshot as 2022. An expert, Mr. Mark. I was honored, of course, to get him on board for this user conference and provide his feedback based on a very long experience. Warm thank you again for all these keynote speakers, and obviously all the presenters who spent a huge amount of slides. I know it's a real effort to make a synthetic presentation of sometimes years of development and activities. So warm thank you for all the speakers and presenters. This Q&A session. So let's now switch to precisely to question and answers. So we have a few here. So let me switch then. So first question. It seems P7 Enterprise can be used in various crazy cases. Do you plan to apply P7 Enterprise as BPMN or RPA platform? So I will just precise what BPMN is, or RPA, so business process management and robotic process automation. So these platforms obviously kind of use the same paradigm in terms of potentially graphical representation, so block diagram representation of a process, because all about these technologies are kind of similar in the sense that they use a process approach. So some steps which are linked together, and then you run the entire workflow. Despite this resemblance or similarities, obviously this is very different positioning from these various platforms. So the short answer is no, we don't plan to use or to position P7 Enterprise as a potential solution for BPMN or RPA. There are dedicated platforms for this, and we are really positioned on a different topic. That doesn't mean, by the way, that we do not interoperate with these platforms. Most of them, by the way, are cloud architectures or web-based technology. So the communication with these platforms, as for any other collaborative environment, is normally doable. So based on our API, we can actually connect to these types of platforms. So today you've heard about some interoperability with SPDM, PLM. In the case of Technip FMC paper, they mentioned also about the integration with their collaborative simulation framework, their internal development, so-called Subsea Studio. So all of that is definitely enabled by, I mean, the integration is enabled by the open API that we provide. We want to stay open as much as we can. So I hope I have answered that one. Next question. Do you plan to enlarge the network of partners in Europe? I ask because it seems your resellers are required to simplify deployment of P7. Do you plan to extend it to other countries, Spain and Germany, in example? Yes, you're absolutely right. P7 Enterprise deployment is definitely something that might require some skills, specific skills. Obviously, in IT environment, in cloud architecture, HPC systems, globally speaking, so authentication, pure administrative, let's say, skills in terms of IT. Yes, this is a domain where that advance is. We don't come from there, so we definitely rely on partners to help our customers and companies to deploy our technology. So of course we stay in the loop, but we might need the help of partners. This is something we already do. We already rely on some partners to deploy our technology. As for the regions, let's say, where that we do not cover yet with those partners, yes, there is an ongoing recruitment process. We are actively seeking for new partners that can definitely operate in these regions, and we pay much attention, of course, to the quality of services they can provide, and their footprint, of course, in the territory, and not to even mention the reputation. So this is an ongoing process, but as you know, P7 Enterprise is quite a young product, so the entire ecosystem that comes with it is developing. So for now, we do a lot by ourselves. I mean, that advance and the existing partners, but we plan indeed to expand and rely more and more on our resellers, the existing resellers, and new partners to come in some regions. Then next question, what is your main industry today? Is it energy, aerospace? In the past, it was aerospace. What about now? Yep, indeed, we come from aerospace. So for those who work with us since the early days, you probably know that We are spin-off of Airbus, so the first competence was about, let's say, aerospace disciplines. Even our engineers are coming from this domain. Even this school, we introduced some of them today, and they come from this aerospace engineering school. So yes, that's the origins. But as of today, the short answer is that the first market number one for us is actually energy. So aerospace is not far behind, obviously. So the first three markets we target, or let's say, which are the biggest contributors to our general revenue, is energy, aerospace, and automotive. So yes, we have evolved. I think the COVID period also changed the picture, because the historical and legacy industries, meaning aerospace and automotive, were in great difficulty at that time, and we had to find new opportunities in the industry, and so this is how energy actually became number one. Yep, that's it as of today. Okay, so now I have much more specific questions related to enterprise. Will you provide SaaS in the future? I guess you mean by SaaS the SaaS solution, so providing our P7 Enterprise as a service, so on demand, and let's say underlying question for sure is about the licensing model and how we charge for this. So SaaS obviously means that you pay for what you consume, pay per use, as we say. So yeah, that's a very interesting orientation. We have not engaged there yet. No, the market is not really asking for it for now. I mean, we've seen some other players today, like Rescale, for example, or other similar platforms which provide CAE capabilities and services through the cloud. So there is a market, definitely. But from our historical, let's say, customer base, we rather have a lot of pressure to make sure that we can deploy on premises. So in a secured environment, rather than having things in the cloud and consume per use or on demand. I think the reason for this, obviously, is, or one of the reasons, the main reason is certainly security and the concerns about having companies' IP in the cloud by using this SaaS software. So the short answer is no, maybe in the future. We are not there yet. It's not even something we are working actively on. And I would simply add that our technology is also embedded into third-party technologies, which then can provide indeed a SaaS solution. So we have special partnerships and agreements, let's say OEM agreements, with some other software providers, so in very specific domain, like for example in energy. So we partner with other companies who provide vertical application for a given market. So oil and gas in that case, and we are one of the let's say enabling technology in the full stack of software that is required. These partners, some of them at least, provide indeed SaaS solution. So despite the fact we don't provide SaaS ourselves, you might indirectly use P7 or P7 Enterprise as a SaaS solution from these third-party products where we are embedded. Next question. So will P7V6 disappear and be replaced by P7 Enterprise at some point? So that's a very common question. We have that question since almost day one. I believe that when a software editor brings a new product to the market and a new generation, of course, it's legit to wonder if the previous product will continue to be developed. So I can, yes, confirm that point. Absolutely, we continue the development of both products. Technology speaking, from a technology standpoint, the convergence between the two solutions is probably doable. I mean, it's possible to package a web application or even cloud architecture into a standalone product. P7v6 was pretty much of that kind. Most of you might know that we use web technology as well for the desktop application. But having a full replacement of P7 desktop or v6 by P7 Enterprise is not on the short term. It will take a lot of time to get there, and so at some point we might think about it, but it's certainly not for the short future. So there will be years before we can get to that point. On top of that, we have let's say requests or expectations coming from very different company profiles. We sell P7 to very large organizations, thousands and thousands of employees, and these organizations obviously are interested in collaborative environments, so large deployment at scale using cloud architecture or web technology. And on the other side, we have very small customers, SMEs, so small, medium business companies, so only a few engineers or a couple of engineers working in a given department and doing R&D on optimization or predictive analytics. And these guys really need something local to do trial and errors and to develop new methodologies. So you see that depending on the customer profile, then a different product will fit. So in some case, enterprise, in other case, P7 v6 or P7 desktop. Okay, so then let's see the. Yes, there is another one here. Who is your competitor for P7 and P7 Enterprise? What are your key differentiators? Oh, wow, that's that questions asked or
deserves a separate
can
presentation.
Can long discussion. Yeah, Sergey, you want to take that one?
No, please proceed. I just wanted to say that this one deserves a separate presentation on key differentiators.
Yeah, so
please try. Maybe you will do it shorter than me.
Okay, I'll do my. Obviously, if we are talking about competition, then are the key. Here, the question is about the two products. So here, I have to answer in let's say 2 steps. First of all, V6. P7 V6 or desktop definitely has a lot of competitors. As you might know, for those like me for more than 20 years, in that domain of PIDO, exists since pretty much the 90s, early 90s or mid 90s, like iSight, like Model Center or these products, and they have in the days based on what was existing at that time in terms of development tools. So it's actually based on C code or this kind of things. Advance has been created, as you might know, much later, operated in 2010. So at that time, we had much more options in terms of development. So first of all, we decided to choose technologies to develop our system. So despite you have a standalone application running on any kind of machine, even a small laptop can actually run P7. It's actually a web stack of technology, and we made that choice for the simple reason that we definitely wanted, or the strategy was definitely to go into some collaborative work in the future. So and we were able to release very quickly, a few years, even the release of P7V6, few years after, we are able to release P7 Enterprise. That was the consequence of that design and architecture decision back in the days. So we have a lot of competitors here, but the architecture is definitely very different. And as for differentiators, I would just mention a few. First of all, the predictive modeling environment that we have in P7 desktop. This is a standalone, let's say, environment where you can models by using machine learning AI, their accuracy, their quality in a very user-friendly environment with some graphical tools. You can assess the quality of a model. So just having this kind of lab, or we call it the predictive modeling toolkit, standalone environment, is something already different from competitive products. A lot of competitive products don't even have that. So they might use ML AI in their optimization strategy, for example, but they don't have the studio, the environment to manage their models, check their accuracy, and then potentially even export them. We can export in various formats. Many competitors actually cannot even do. They don't have the technology to export any kind of so standalone environment is already a big differentiator. The second one I would like to mention is probably smart selection. Smart selection, for those who are not completely familiar with it, is an additional algorithm layer on top of all the other algorithms that we provide in our framework. So on the predictive analytics side, so all the machine learning AI stuff, optimization, DOE, or even UQ. So smart actually come on top of all of that and make the choice of the algorithm automatically for the users. So automatic selection of the algorithm and automatic tuning in a dynamic way. So during the resolution of the problem, the smart selection layer will continue to run and tune for the users. So that makes very high-end technology affordable or accessible to any kind of users. So that's a big differentiator. There are very few competitors on the market who can pretend they have something similar, or at least covering all the aspects of design space exploration on one side and predictive analytics on the other side. Some of our competitors, that definitely, but just for one part of this, and not the full scope. I believe that that's the main, and we can discuss about the quality of the algorithms. We spent the early days in the company were just about that. As you know, the first product that was released was just the Python library of algorithms. So the entire effort and energy of the company has been put in the algorithm. So I cannot really comment on the differentiator here. You just have to maybe check the benchmarks that we publish and that show that we can do a better job for a given engineering problem. So that's pretty much it. Let's say for V6. I don't know if my colleagues want to add something on that chapter. No. So then maybe a few words about enterprise. So that's a different story here. Enterprise is absolutely new and disruptive technology on the market. Of course, the web solutions on top of a PIDO software, a PIDO system, exist for many years. Our competitors had that again in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's not new. The concept of bringing a simplified UI on top of a PIDO is something that exists for decades. The thing which is different here with P7 Enterprise and absolutely unique is the fact that we have then centralized all the capabilities of a PIDO system into the cloud. So from you can manage your PIDO activity with in a collaborative manner. So it's a monolithic solution. Any local software like our competitors require. For many competitors, you need to start a workflow integration task locally with a thick client or let's say a heavy client on your local machine. And then once that step is done, you will move some file and some containers or packages into the whatever it is, let's say IT object into the cloud. Then you have to of course, make sure you well connect all your connectors to the HPC means that are available in the cloud, and then you can run some post-processing. So you see, it's a different story because you start locally, then you upload something in the cloud, then you operate in the cloud, while in our case, everything happens in the single location. To the same location, and even at authoring level, people can start to create a workflow from scratch directly in the cloud. There is absolutely no need for a heavy client. So the presentation from Technip FMC, by the way, today highlighted that aspect because the demo was actually running from a white page from scratch. Sylvain showed that he would very easily create the workflow in the cloud, and obviously he had a browser on his machine, so no local heavy client installed. And from A to Z, then you can manage your workflow. From that aspect, we don't today really competitor. We have seen some platforms who can bring web technology like this, let's say, but do not have the design space exploration capability or the predictive analytics capability. So there is a missing brick in the equation. So as of today, we think that we actually don't have competitors for the entire scope that we cover with P7 Enterprise. If some colleagues want to complement my talk, or feel free. Okay, so I think we can move to the next question. Speaking of digital twin trend, what are your strengths to become a preferred solution to address the whole picture? That's another big topic. So first of all, I would like to clarify something about digital twin. Yes, there is a trend in the industry. Digital word in engineering in all conferences for now more than 10 years or something. But we have to make sure that we are on the same page regarding its definition. First of all, the digital twin is, as presented by Sergey in his slides, is a digital equivalent or twin by definition of a physical asset and connected to the asset. So the communication goes bidirectional between the physical asset and the digital twin. That's the first thing. Second thing, a digital twin strategy does not rises to simply a predictive model, for example, or a surrogate model or a meta model produced by machine learning. It's much more complex than this. By the way, the black box that the digital twin can be any kind of software actually, or predictive model, but it's not sufficient. If you really want to enter the digital twin strategy, you need other software capabilities. For example, to enable the communication between the asset again and the model. So you need potentially a wired connection or an IoT connection. And then most of the time this connection goes through very let's say sophisticated services or even platforms. So we have mentioned, by the way, today, I think it was in Sergei's presentation, some IoT technology and platforms, so enabling the communication between the asset and some data lakes first for the storage, and then processing, cleaning of the data, etc., before it goes to a predictive model, so that we can predict the behavior of the system. And then on top of that, you need the feedback loop. So either a direct one, or a need, or let's say a hybrid one, where maybe there is a little bit of dashboarding in the middle to as a decision aiding process before an operator, for example, decides to change the asset settings. So all of that to explain that we only provide a small piece of this stack of technology. So we cannot pretend that we provide the end-to-end or turnkey solution for digital twin, but we are definitely an enabler, because we can then provide predictive models. And the power of P7 Enterprise is the fact that we can mix models built from ML, AI technology, as well as from the physics and analytical models like finite element analysis or multi-body simulation or pure systems 0D, 1D simulation. So most of the platforms on the market, which are maybe coming from the IoT world or pure statistical environment, do not provide this. They cannot, they are really data centric. In our case, we are not exclusively data centric. We can manage data, yes, but we are also very deep into the engineering domains, and so in analytical models. So we can mix both, and this is quite unique on the market. Next question. It looks like P7 Enterprise requires specific skills in coding. Do you see it as an obstacle to democratization for non-experts? Yeah, I think there are two aspects here. It requires very specific skills, indeed, for the preparation of workflows, not even to mention the potential custom blocks that you might need in the presentation from Technip FMC. If you remember well, they have developed something like 50 blocks, custom blocks, to enrich their company library. And so this is how you can build your IP and capture your IP. So that's great. And to do this, yes, you need very high-end skills. However, as we have explained in various presentations, you don't need a lot of resources to do that. You just need to have few knowledgeable people in that area, in that very specific area, that will build the methods, create the blocks or the services, the microservices that will go in the library, and then some other people, let's say already a little bit less experienced, can use them to build the workflows. And finally, you can wrap that into very simple apps, concept of Apps Hub, where really non-expert users can run a workflow from a simplified web interface. So from that standpoint, the answer is yes and no. You need really high-end people, but very small amount of people to produce the services and the workflows, etc. But you can then create some apps that can be used by really non-experts. So non-experts, I mean, they are experts in their domain, but not necessarily in design space exploration or predictive analytics. Okay. I think we come to an end, unless I missed something in tab. So colleagues, do you have other questions on your side? This is the end. I think here.
Yes, I confirm. I don't see anything new coming from the Q&A panel.
Same here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we are reaching the end of our conference, our annual conference. Again, thanks a lot for presence. Thanks a lot for your attention and for your time, your precious time. We have to leave so that we can have a drink after this. But I definitely look forward to maybe next year some more physical event. Thanks a lot to all the people who stated to the organization of that, despite the digital format. It's quite a lot of preparation here and work ahead to this content. So many thanks to colleagues, and again to the presenters and to the keynote speakers. With this, then I think we can close this. Wish you a good afternoon, evening. At this crazy hour, I think it's almost 11 o'clock in Japan. So many thanks for you guys. Thanks for the rest. So enjoy the evening or the night, and then see you soon, hopefully. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.